everyone, our topic this week is effective teaching and effective learning. Our team members are Wan Nur Ayuni Wan Rahim, Munira Husna binti Alias, Siti Haja Mariana Mishat, and Nur Wasika binti Abdul Hamid. So let's continue with what we are going to cover for this topic. Nur Wasika will introduce and define what is effective teaching and learning. Siti Hajar will continue to discuss about best practices, and also Munira Husna will discuss about transfer of learning and knowledge, and then we will continue with Wan Nur Ayuni who will discuss about classroom management issues, and the last one, Siti Hajar, will do a conclusion. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera to our lecturer and all my fellow friends. I am Nur Wasika binti Abdul Hamid and I'm going to be the first presenter for this group. Our topic is effective teaching and effective learning. So why we need to learn this topic? Because we as a future teacher, we need to know our role as a teacher and what the student needs. We have to know our role to help the students to achieve the outcomes. And also, we have to recognize what the students needs and how they can achieve the effective learning. And it is important to us to know that teaching and learning are related to each other. Effective teaching can be defined in many ways, including teacher behavior, teacher knowledge, teacher belief, and so forth. Effective teaching is about helping our students to achieve the best result they can at school. The term effective learning describes methods of teaching and learning that actively involve students in their own learning and personal development. And it is the acquisition and mastery of what is already known about something based on their previous knowledge or experience. And also, it is describe a product, a process on how to solve the problems regarding the knowledge or a function. From the diagram, we can see that very next paradigm of teaching and learning relationship. You can see that the learning process is in the between teachers and the student. So you can see it is very related to each other. Teacher helps to maximize the student's knowledge and helps to acquire the student's previous experience and knowledge during the teaching. And also, the students will grab the idea from their previous lessons during their learning. So we can see that both of this teaching and learning can be effective as it is. Need of relating teaching and learning to make an effective teaching and effective learning. As we know, in order to make an effective teaching and effective learning, the students learn in progress and have the stages. That is why teacher needs to do a lesson plan first. So as you can see, educational objective, learning experience, and evaluation are all in cycle because educational objective is setting that what student needs to achieve and guideline for teachers too. Learning experience is what we have to take out from the student from their previous knowledge and their experience. And then the evaluation, like the tests, experiments, and everything that they are taking from their learning experience to solve their problem. So that's all from me. I will proceed the presentation to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum to Dr. Fatin and my fellow classmates. My name is Siti Haja Mariana binti Mishat and I am the second presenter which will discuss about the best practices. So let's move on to the next slide. So what is best practices? So here I have stated 3 important points in the slide. So first one is teachers' teaching strategies. Teachers' teaching strategies begin as innovative ideas that were tested and then perfected by their creators. It means like the teachers get the inspiration from the other ideas and then make it innovative or make it interactive in the teaching process. So, and the second one is methods or techniques. A best practice is a method or technique that has been generally accepted as superior to any alternatives because it produces results that are superior to those achieved by other means. It means like the teachers have to be creative to get the other techniques, maybe their own techniques, to make it the teaching process be more innovative or interactive. So, and the last one is guidelines and ethics. Best practices are the guidelines and ethics that represent the most efficient course of action in a given class situation. So it means like the best practices as the guidelines or ethics that teachers need to follow, or maybe teachers need to make it as a guideline itself to be more innovative and interactive between interaction in with the students. Alright, the second slide is about the importance of best practices. So the first one is decide on appropriate teaching strategies and interventions. So teachers can make it strategies, good rules into the teaching process. And then the second one is using school equipment or private equipment and resources appropriately. So the equipment and also the resources is not being wasted, and the teachers can use it appropriately in the teaching process. So the third one is maintaining a high standard of performance, professionalism, and probity. This is the important part in the teaching process, where the teachers need to maintain the high standard of these three main points. So let's discuss about the next point, which is effective teaching best practices. So I have stated 7 main points for this topic. So the first one is visualization. The teachers bring down academic concepts to life with visual and practical learning experiences, so it can helping the students to understand more how their schooling applies in the real world. And then the second one is cooperative learning, which is encourage students to mix abilities to work together by promoting small group or whole class activities. It is like through verbally expressing their ideas and responding to others, the student will develop the self-confidence as well as enhance their communication and also the critical thinking skills, which are vital throughout the life. And then the number 3 is inquiry-based instruction. So post-thought provoking questions which inspire the students to think for themselves and become more independent learners. It is like encouraging the students to ask questions and investigate their own ideas, help improve their problem solving skills, as well as gain a deeper understanding and academic concepts. So both are which are very important in the life skills. So the number 4 is differentiation. Differentiate teaching by allocating tasks based on students' abilities to ensure no one gets left behind. So this is like assigning classroom activities according to the students' unique learning needs. Means individuals with higher academic capabilities are stretched, and those who are struggling get the appropriate support. So it is like a fair education. So we move to the next slide. Okay, number 5 is technology in the classroom. Incorporating technology into teaching is a great way to actively engage the student in the lessons, especially in the 21st era. So maybe LCD screen or tablets can be used to display images and videos, which help students visualize new academic concepts. So like learning can be more interactive when technology is used, as students can physically engage during lessons. Okay, we move on to number 6. Number 6 is behavior management. Implement an effective behavior and management strategy is crucial to gain the students' respect and ensure students have an equal chance of reaching their full potential. And the last point is about the professional development. Professional development is engaging in regular professional development program is a great way to enhance teaching and learning in the classroom. So teachers maybe can go to the extra programs with educational policies constantly changing. It is extremely useful to attend events where you can gain inspiration from other teachers and academics. So it is like you gain some extra education into your teaching. Okay, now let's talk about the nowadays issues. So here are some issues that during the pandemic COVID-19 from last year until this year. So it is like a new situation to us around the world. So first issue is about the teachers need to be creative in teaching process during this pandemic. As we all know that teaching and learning process are not in school anymore, so we go through into the online learning. And then the second one is about teachers need to be physical and mentally ready in online learning, so they can interact with the students comfortably. And then next one is about the teachers in the rural areas have faced many challenges in the online learning. So as we know that rural areas doesn't have a good internet connection, and the teachers in the rural area have to work more or work harder than urban area. To maybe they need to go to the students house and give or pass the homework or the quizzes that teachers made. And then the last one is about guru bergerak. This situation mostly happen in the rural area, which the teachers need to go to the students' house to teach them the topic or maybe pass homework to them. So lastly, I have give some quotes from David Weiss in Education Week teacher. So focus on the processes and connections between different processes rather than just finding the answer. The answer is important, but the process that lead to answer are far more important to learn. So it is like teachers need to be learn many things to be more creative, more innovative, and more interactive during the teaching process.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Munira Husna. So now I will continue to the next subtopic, which is transfer of learning and knowledge. So what is the transfer of learning? Transfer of learning is the ability to apply the knowledge that have been learned in one context or one situation to a new context or a new situation. So student or learner will be able to learn in more quickly and also develop a deeper understanding of a subject or a task if they apply or use the knowledge or skill from previous learning to a new learning situation. So transfer of learning can occur when the learners or the student recognize the common features among concepts, skills, or principles and link the information in memory from the previous learning to a new learning situation. And it also can be occur when the learner sees the value of utilizing what they have learned in one situation in another situation. Okay, next is the type of transfer of learning. Okay, transfer of learning has three types, which is positive transfer, negative transfer, and also neutral transfer, or also known as zero transfer. Okay, let's take a look at the first type of transfer of learning, which is positive transfer. Positive transfer is a knowledge that acquired in one situation, which helps the learners to acquire knowledge, skills, or principle in another situation. For example, when learning mathematics, the knowledge of mathematics will help student facilitate to learn physics in a better way. So under positive transfer, there are they are operate into two levels, which is lateral or horizontal transfer and also vertical transfer. So lateral transfer is when students are exposed to content that applies to other subjects or situation at the same level. For example, when a child is learning basic arithmetic, he or she learns and discover that um, in multiplication of 9, 4 times 9 equal to 36, same as 9 times 4, because they have learned multiplication of 4 in previous learning. Therefore, he or she, the children, is transferring knowledge laterally or horizontally. So the next is vertical transfer, which is knowledge is applied to other learning at a higher level, whether it is in the same situation, whether it is in the same subject or in another subject. For example, um, when a student understands basic grammatical principles in learning English language, he or she will be able to speak a proper English, write well in English, and also will be able to study other subject in English. So next types of transfer of learning is negative transfer. So negative transfer is a content in a subject or in a two different subjects has a negative influence on one another. So basically negative transfer will is where learning of one task will make the learning of another task harder. But negative transfer is typically will cause problems only in early stages. For example, a student's learning English and German at the same time will facing a difficulty mastering both language simultaneously due to inhibition or distraction, as there will be a lot of back and forth movement, and also they can mix up the English and also the German words. So it can slow down the process of learning. So another simple example is driving on right-sided vehicles will hinder learning to adapt on left-sided vehicles. But with a lot of practices, this negative transfer will be able to be minimized and also eliminated in the next stages. So the last one is neutral transfer or zero transfer. Neutral transfer is acquiring knowledge, skills, or principles that are not transferable from one situation to another, which means there is no relationship between one subject and another one. For example, learning fine art and biology. So both of these subjects are not related because each is independent from the other in terms of facts, skills, principles, and also technicals. The next one is on ways to promote transfer of learning. So I included 4 ways. So let's take a look one by one. The first one is by engaging learners in similar contexts. Teachers can create instruction that is directly applicable to how the content will be used in the real world. For example, teacher can apply the project-based learning as an activity in the classroom, where students will have an opportunity to be engaged in solving a real-world problem or answering a complex question that related with the real situation. For example, by creating or developing a product, the student can have an opportunity to demonstrate their knowledge and skills in creating the product and also presenting it in the for the real audience. The next one is collaboration. The teacher should increase the opportunities for the students to have a collaboration with each other, which can help students to generate ideas and also thinkings between them. For example, teacher can set up activities that require students to make a connection from one level to the next or across the content area that they are learning at that time. Next is by providing a varied practice. So teachers can provide opportunity for the learners to practice in the wide range of contexts so that the students can apply their knowledge and also their skills in many different real situations, which can improve and enhance their way of learning. The last one is by teaching learners to self-monitor. Skillful learners naturally reflect on their own thinking processes in order to improve their learning and also performance. Students should be able to monitor their process of thinking and also process of learning. The teacher can help students by teaching them on how and when to monitor their thinking process and also performances, which because it can help in the process of transfer of learning. Students can rethink on the way they think and also improve their way of thinking to be better in order to enhance their learning process. Alright, next is teaching for transfer. So these are the techniques that can be used for positive transfer that have been suggested by the research of Perkin and Solomon. So the first technique is hugging. So hugging is where teacher can encourage transfer by incorporating similarities between the learning situation and the future situation in which the learning might be used. Some of the methods that can be used is simulation games or mental practice. Simulation games is a method of teaching and learning which is based on a real situation. It is designed to replicate a real life situation as closely as possible, where the student will have an opportunity to analyze data, to make decisions, and to solve problems according to the situation. Student will perform a task that enables them to learn or have their learning evaluated. So mental practice. Mental practice is where a person visualizing a certain action in their head in order to help preparing for what they have to perform in reality. So the learners can rehearse by visualizing or imagine some movement or situation in their head. So the next technique is bridging. Bridging is where teacher encourage transfer by helping students to find connection between learning and to extract their existing knowledge to a new concept or a new situation. Whereas some of the methods that can be used is brainstorming, developing analogies, and also meta-connection. So meta-connection is basically an ability to understand and regulate um, one's own thinking. It will enable students to become more flexible, more creative, and also be a self-directed learners, where also it allows the students to become aware of their own thinking and to become skillful in choosing appropriate thinking strategies for different learning tasks. So that's all from my part. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Thank you, Husna, for an outstanding presentation. Assalamualaikum, everyone. My name is Wanur Ayuni binti Warahim. Now I will continue with our next subtopic, which is about classroom management issue. Why is classroom management also be highlighted in effective teaching and effective learning? So guys, let me share with you. Classroom management is essentially in teaching and learning because it can increase student success by creating an orderly learning environment that can enhance student academic skill and competency and social and emotional development. It's referred to the wide variety of skill and technique that teacher use to keep student organized, orderly, focused, attentive on task and academically productive during a class. Basically, during my high school, most of the teacher will tell us, or we call it warning us, what you can't do in their classes. For example, you cannot eat or talk while I'm teaching. You cannot walk out from the classroom without my permission. So that is the classroom management in the early year of school. So, classroom management can help the teaching and learning can process efficiently and safely. Now, we are going to focus on classroom management issue in school. There are many issues we could get when we talk about classroom management, but as for the discussion, I will pick four the highest issue our teacher and student faces in school. So the first one is disruptive talking. This may have happened because some student eager to ask question, the student talk a lot, or maybe the student has less respect toward their teacher. With this attitude, the issue that could happen is there will be adverse effect on teaching and learning in the classroom. The negative effect are when student disruptive while the teacher is teaching, the process of learning could be disturbed and other student also less focused. So this could lead to the argument between teacher and the student. So every problem comes with a solution. So as a teacher, we should always provide some time for the student to ask question. So open question not only can be made after all the lecture but also during the lecture. Always asking for student opinion and reflection. So there will be build a good communication between teacher and the students. And also convey teacher expectation on the first day of school is always let them know and what makes you upset when your students are doing this and doing that. The second issue are overcrowded class because effective teaching and learning comes with a comfortable and good classroom environment. So why it is happening? It is because due to the less sufficient amount classroom and teacher. When the population increase year by year, but the amount of classroom is insufficient, school management need to raise student total in every classroom. Even based on the research, class sizes are supposed to cap at 50 to 20 students. But we could see the total number of students in some schools rise to 28 students per class, which is not good for student achievement. And this also could lead to the problem of chattiness between students when there are too many students. And the power of handling for the teacher also gone out. And it will occur the noise and disturbance and leads to many discipline issues in the classes. It could lead to quality of learning decrease per student because the teacher may difficult to focus on the individual when are too many students in the classroom. So the solution to this issue is to decrease the amount of students in the classroom. I think it might not be accessible unless the school got enough budget to add more building and more classes. But this could be solved by teaching the advantages of the ability of grouping. For example, always ask the student to sit in the group, do the task or discuss, and always get the student to do as much as interaction work as possible. So in this case, they would focus on the work rather than talking nonsense. Not just that, the teacher can keep the lesson shorter. When the lesson is shorter, the balance of the minutes, teacher can ask the student to finish their task and submit before the end of the classes. Because of that, the student will be more serious and also focused in classroom. So the third issue of classroom management is personality clashes. So one of the first lesson every teacher learn is that there is kaleidoscope of different personality in every classroom. So at any one moment, the teacher is navigating a minefield of different character, each of which requires specific attention and also handling. So no two students are the same, and a good teacher is skilled enough to bounce from one to the another student. So these personality clashes occur when they are conflict. It could be conflict between students and student, and also happen between student and the teacher. So this happen because in some situation when handling student behavior, this test the teacher to push them to the limits and get angry, which we know as a teacher we couldn't act that way, and we should control ourselves as we can. And we need to know that different people have different perception. Same goes to the teacher and also the student. So these personality clashes could lead to the issue of a student may don't like the teacher, and when the teacher has scolded them in the class, so they will hold revenge and so on. And even there are also the issue when teacher car gets crashed by the student. It happened because they hold revenge on the teacher. So when there are conflict between teacher and student, a student might be showing less interest in the class and not attend the school, not submit their homework, and not focus in the classes. So as a responsible teacher, to make an effective teaching and learning, the teacher need to always try to share, listen, and check on the students. And don't be too harsh, because we didn't know the reason some of the students act that way. Maybe because they too depressed at home or having other problems. And not just that, always put yourself in their shoes. Not everyone born with a silver spoon in their mouth, so always understand their hardship at home and be fair to every student. So the last classroom management issue that concerns me is time constraint. No matter how passionate we are about teaching and how much we yearn for our students to love learning and soak up the knowledge we bring to the classroom, there just isn't enough time in the day between lesson plans, teaching, to standard, grading paper, giving tests, and another. The reality is we could only planning, and we can't control everything. But as a teacher, we can control and manage our time. So time constraints are always the problem in teaching. Why? Because of the short of time, but a lot of things need to be taught. A lot of things teacher feel important, need more time to guide the student, more time in observe the student progress and the rest. But when the time is not enough, this could lead to the issue the objective of the lesson plan not be achieved. And when lesson objective could not be achieved, the student didn't get what is the teacher teach is. And then comes the low quality of teaching and learning decrease, and the student achievement also could be affected. And I think the solution for this issue is the teacher can fix in be more well organized in the lesson plan, preparing all the teaching kit, learn in manage the time well, and try to avoid to procrastinate. To make the teaching and learning more smoothly, the teacher can be thoughtful in classroom arrangement, which encourage student learning and participation and allow the teacher to easily monitor the student at all times. And also consideration should be given to the transition as students move in out of the classroom and shift from one to another activity, so it could save more times. And always teacher need always to be clear with the goals and be smart in planning. So the teacher not just giving the lesson but also needs to be creative in their lesson. So I think that's all about the classroom management issue. Now I will pass to the Siti Haja to conclude all about the today discussion. Thank you.
Now we're at the end of the slides. So as the conclusion, in many ways the message of our presentation is a simple one. To get effective teaching and effective learning between educators and students, the basic skills are started all the way from the educators. The process could be long, but in the end, it shows a good result. As we mentioned all the points in this presentation, to achieve of getting effective teaching and learning, we need to look up upon all sides and contexts in the education system of teaching and learning process. So here, a quote from Alexandra K. Trenfer: "The best teachers are those who show you what to look, but don't tell you what to see." So thank you from our group.